As of yesterday, I have been invited to and have accepted the opportunity to be a recurring guest on Bill LeMay's show on WPTF Radio in Raleigh. Every second Monday, I'm going to be his opening guest on his show. He does the afternoon drive time talk show in Raleigh from 2 to 5. I'm going to have the first half hour from 2 to 2:30 on the second Monday of each month to talk about these groups and what you guys are doing out there. So it's important that you have a particular event, a particular message that I can help you promote on the radio. That's a 50,000 watt station, reaches most of central North Carolina. I'd be more than happy to do anything I can to promote your groups. Right now we're going to take a break for a few minutes, turn it back over to the Stan Bobbitt Band for a little entertainment and time to grab some chow. Appreciate the good job, but right now, I want to bring back up Rev Bryant. There are a lot of people out there doing a lot of things in this world, but some people just have the magnetism to really grab your attention, and I certainly think he's one of them. I want to remind you again, they got a 50-50 raffle going on over at the Tea Party tent. You do not have to be present to win. Just fill out your ticket and they'll contact you, winner. And we still have the good Futurals up there in the concession booth selling hot dogs, hamburgers, pork chop sandwiches, and whatever else floats your boat for a reasonable price. We ask you to support them. Hang around, get on the phone, tweet, Twitter, call your friends. Invite them to come on down. We're going to be here till about 5:30. Right now, bring Reverend Bryant back up to the stage. If you just late joining us, you missed a rousing first segment. But this is the man with the message.
Friends, I'm glad to be back in this second half to speak with you again. And I thank each and every one of you for being out here today. And I want to thank Major Dave for putting this on. There's just a few things that I want to say to you as this program begins to wind down. And that is, I want to thank the coordinators of this program, first of all. And then I would ask you to visit that FreedomWorks booth over there. I happen to be a fellow with FreedomWorks in Washington, D.C. Our president and CEO, Matt Kibbe, is a great man, and the founder and chairman of FreedomWorks is the former majority whip of the Congress. And that is our great friend Dick Armey. Now, friends, we thank God for this great American day and that we're still here in the land of the free and the home of the brave, a free America. But it's important to understand that we cannot relax, we cannot rest until we as Americans have secured again the future of our country for our wives, our children, and our sweethearts. We must press on. Friends, the Muslim threat, as I said, is real. Just a moment ago, I heard a young man talk about how we are aborting our children. Not only in the black community, Americans are aborting Americans. But I bring you some news that you need to think about. The Muslims are not killing their children. The illegal aliens are not killing their children. Americans are killing Americans. And it is time that we come to our senses and stop sacrificing our children at the altar of Baal. It is time for pastors who say they don't want to get involved in politics to at least speak out against abortion, at least speak out against gay marriage. You need to challenge your pastors to at least speak out against something, and you need to challenge them. Here we are in this great land, and it is time for us to understand another fact. That this is the first time in American history that 50 children from the ages of 8 to 15 years of age have never been in a church. I want you to think about that. The first time in our country's history where 50% of our children between the ages of 8 years old and 15 years old have not been in a church house. That means that 75% of them have never been to a Sunday school or any Bible teaching or training at all. What does that mean? Before you stands a man who's 56 years old. And this is what it means. It means that in 15 years, as I become 70, that young man who's walking around with his cap turned sideways and his pants hung down below his behind, that young man, that young woman, they're going to start to take over and be in control. If we don't turn the tide that's sweeping through this country right now, as we grow older, we will be living in armed camps called our own houses and bedrooms. It is time for us to wake up. It is time for us to send a message to Washington, D.C. that we understand that there is a diabolical plot to steal the minds of our young people. You must know that there are teachers in the classrooms that you pay for who are teaching your children that this country that we love, this country that our soldiers fight for, they're teaching our children that we are the enemies. They're teaching our children socialist principles. I say that it is time for you to show up at school board meetings and town hall meetings and tell them exactly where to get off, that we will not tolerate this any longer. Americans, understand that there are people trying to twist our minds, trying to tell us that we need to pay for the sins of our past. Let me put a thought in your mind. There's no way that you could ever put spilled milk back into a bottle. There's no way to ever right the wrong of a past, because yesterday is dead and gone. But the Apostle Paul said that there's one thing we must do. We must forget those things that are behind us and press forward to the high calling which is before us. And America still has some bright days ahead of us that we must press forward to. There is nothing we can do about the sins of our fathers except to make certain that they don't happen again, and to make certain that our children have a clear understanding of who we are and where we came from as Americans. Friends, we are the greatest success story that the world has ever known. Here I stand before you, the great-grandson of a former slave. My grandfather was a great man, but if you wrote his name in the sky, he would not be able to read it. My father only had a third-grade education, but he taught himself how to read, and he made certain that his children would have a good education. The founding fathers of this country, even though they did not see you and I standing here today, if we were able to speak to them, if we were able to talk to Dr. Franklin when he was asked by a woman when coming out of the Constitutional Convention, Dr. Franklin, what type of government have you given us? He replied to her, he told her, I've given you a republic, if you can hold it. Well, here we are in Salisbury, North Carolina, And we would be able to say to Dr. Franklin today, Dr. Franklin, we have made it 235 years. We have held the republic, and we will hold the republic. And so, my fellow American, a man like Herman Cain is running for president. There are people who are calling him a bad apple because he's a conservative. Well, let me leave you with these words. The reason they want to call all of us bad apples is because they know that they put us in with that socialist trash that is going around in this country. They know that if they put this bad apple and Herman Cain's bad apple in with the communist trash that is being spewed in this country, we will spoil that whole barrel for the Al Sharptons and the Barack Obamas in this world. So I encourage all of you to become a bad apple. Become a bad apple and spoil the progressive liberal agenda. Become a bad apple and take back this country for God and for country. Americans, God bless you and God keep you. And stand up, stand up, stand up. God bless you. God bless America.